come in different sizes. A small dial makes you always slimmer, while a large one makes you a stronger error. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex data address is the best choice for cost-effective.
Where's the video of the Chinese brands exposing the watch industry? Where is that? I've seen movies.
Got you right here. This is a CF Rolex I got from Shenzhen for only 120 USD, and it still ticks. Everything is perfect.
The unthinkable has happened. Rolex, the crown jewel of Swiss precision and global luxury, is now facing a full-scale identity crisis. A wave of videos from Chinese TikTok has exploded across the internet, showing something the brand never wanted the world to see: Rolex watches being built in Chinese factories, side by side with knockoffs. And it's not just about fakes anymore. It's about the horrifying possibility that your $15,000 Rolex might be sharing an assembly line with a $200 clone. What was once a symbol of craftsmanship, legacy, and exclusivity is now being questioned on every level. And the most shocking part? The videos don't lie. This investigation will take you inside the factories, into the stories of whistleblowers, and reveal just how much of the luxury watch world is built on smoke and mirrors. Buckle up. The truth is ticking louder than ever.
做成了基本程序。你这是哪个程序？车床上哪个程序的表的？哦，表格。直接从你这个程序咯。
For decades, Rolex built its reputation on a single promise: that every timepiece was born from generations of Swiss mastery, handcrafted with care and touched only by the finest artisans in the world. But now, leaked video footage from inside Chinese factories is telling a very different story.
打包之后好漂亮哦。半成品的表带。 哦，磨了之后它就不会擦手了。
These aren't blurry, low-quality clips. These are clear, close-up shots of what appear to be Rolex Designs cases. Dials, bezels being assembled in bulk, row after row in facilities far from Switzerland. Workers are openly filming the process, showing production lines that look more like high-efficiency tech factories than artisan workshops.
As soon as you see this video, please don't spend a lot of money on a watch. I am a watch factory from China. Because I can no longer bear that you spend tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy watches, I take the risk of offending all brands to tell you one thing. In fact, watches do not need to be that expensive. I can let you get a big brand watch with 1% of the original price.
The visual evidence is hard to dismiss. It suggests that large chunks of Rolex production are happening in China, a fact long hidden behind polished marketing and strategic silence. For a brand that has leaned so heavily on its Swiss-made identity, this kind of footage doesn't just challenge Rolex's image, it threatens to unravel it entirely. The phrase Swiss-made once meant something sacred in the world of watches. It was a seal of quality, a mark of provenance, a badge of honor. But in reality, that label doesn't mean what most people think. Under Swiss law, a watch can be labeled Swiss-made as long as 60% of its production cost happens in Switzerland. That includes things like design, corporate overhead, and even marketing, not just physical assembly. So a watch that's 80% manufactured in Shenzhen, China, can still legally be called Swiss if it's shipped to Switzerland for final touches.
Are Swiss watches really made in China? I went to Shenzhen to find out. It's the epicenter of Chinese watch manufacturing, and according to this one expert,
TISO make about 4 million watches a year, 300 watchmakers in Switzerland. Do the math.
There's compelling evidence that Swiss-made on the dial doesn't mean the watch was made or constructed in Switzerland. When I did find the higher quality knockoffs, they all pointed me in the direction of one particular factory. Unfortunately, they wouldn't let me film inside, but I can tell you the quality was very high. Certainly, lots of micro brands manufacture in Shenzhen, as well as lots of big brands.
Maybe someone screws on the case back in Geneva, and boom, it's officially Swiss-made. This loophole has allowed brands like Rolex to maintain their prestigious label while quietly outsourcing major parts of the process overseas. And now that consumers are learning how little of their luxury watch was actually made in Switzerland, the backlash is growing fast. Shenzhen, China has quietly become the beating heart of the global watch industry. It's not just the place where fakes are made, it's where the real ones are born too. Over 90% of the world's watches pass through Shenzhen at some point in their life cycle, including components for big-name luxury brands. The city is home to a dizzying number of watch factories, capable of producing millions of units each year, from entry-level models to high-end timepieces. And the brands know it. They've relied on Shenzhen's scale, speed, and skilled labor for decades, but they've never admitted it publicly. The secrecy surrounding these supply chains was once locked tight by non-disclosure agreements and hidden contracts. But now, with factory workers uploading footage and insiders breaking their silence, the truth is spilling out. The question, fencing, is no longer whether luxury watches are made in China, it's how much of them are, and why no one told us sooner. Inside these factories, employees are now speaking directly to the public, often through viral TikTok videos. One worker, standing in front of hundreds of nearly finished watches, pleaded with viewers not to waste their money. "I take the risk of offending all brands to tell you one thing," he said. "Watches do not need to be that expensive." According to him, the same watch that retails for $20,000 can be made for 1% of that price. He's not alone. Other workers have shared that they ship thousands of units a week, many of which go through private label deals, white label contracts, or end up in brand-approved facilities overseas. Some brands even fly in Swiss inspectors to sign off on batches before they're boxed and labeled. These videos are more than just leaks, they're confessions. And they're changing the way people see luxury watches forever. One of the most shocking voices to speak out wasn't a factory worker. It was a former employee of the Swatch Group, one of the most powerful players in the Swiss watch industry. Known online as the Watch Regulator, he revealed that he was fired for posting videos that exposed uncomfortable truths.
I got fired from Swatch Group today for talking about their products on TikTok. Before we get into the reasons why I was fired, just for the people who don't know, Swatch Group is a large Swiss watch group that comprises brands like Omega, Longines, Tissot, Breguet, Blancpain, Rado, Hamilton, and of course Swatch. One of the reasons that I got fired was for this video where I talk about how Swiss watch brands say they service your watch but actually just swap out the movement for a new one, and that was classified as a breach of company confidentiality. Oh, and also, how could I forget when I talked about how Omega parts for watches weren't made in Switzerland but were instead made in China. That's probably a big one.
Among them, that Swiss brands often claim to service your watch, when in reality they just swap out the entire movement. But more importantly, he confirmed that parts for big names like Omega and Tissot are made in China. "I've seen the packaging, I've seen the stamps," he said. Cases, dials, hands, even diamond-studded components are being manufactured in Asia, shipped to Switzerland for assembly, then sold as pure Swiss luxury. The Watch Regulator's testimony has sent shockwaves through the industry because it comes from someone who lived it firsthand. He's not speculating, he's reporting from inside. Let's talk about Rolex itself. The brand is often described as the gold standard of watches, a symbol of handmade excellence. But insiders say that image is more fiction than fact. Rolex produces around 1.5 million watches a year, and they do so with the efficiency of a car manufacturer. One expert compared them to the Toyota Corolla of watches, not because they're cheap, but because they're mass-produced to perfection. Machines do most of the work. There's no romantic scene of a watchmaker hand-finishing each piece. These are precision-built products made on a production line with minimal human intervention. And again, parts are sourced globally. The image of the solo Swiss artisan has been replaced by industrial-scale logistics. Rolex might still be the best at what they do, but what they do isn't what people thought. And then there are the fakes, although calling them fakes might be misleading at this point. The modern Rolex replicas are so advanced, even certified watchmakers have been fooled. Some fakes come with NFC cards, warranty booklets, microfiber claws, branded boxes, and even internal chips that scan to Rolex's database. Side by side with the real thing, they're nearly impossible to tell apart. Why? Because they're made using the same materials, the same tools, and often in the same factories. When a brand finishes a legitimate run, the machines don't stop. They just keep going, same specs, different logo. One shipment gets a Rolex stamp and goes to Switzerland. The other gets sold online as a high-end clone. And many of these replicas are being sold directly by factory insiders on TikTok, giving everyday people access to what used to be reserved for the elite. This kind of exposure has led to something Rolex swore would never happen: a price cut. The company has reduced prices on several core models, not for a promotion, not for a holiday sale, but as a permanent strategy shift. For a brand that built its identity on stability and exclusivity, this is massive. It's a direct response to the growing awareness that Rolex watches might not be as unique or rare as once believed. When buyers realize their $15,000 watch shares A supply chain with $300 clones, the perceived value drops, and that's exactly what's happening. Resellers are reporting slower sales. Collectors are hesitating. Inventory is piling up. Rolex knows that if it doesn't adjust prices at the source, the gray market will do it for them. This is damage control, plain and simple. The deeper issue here isn't just about Rolex, it's about the entire luxury watch industry. The internet has destroyed the secrecy that once protected these brands. Factory footage, leaked documents, insider confessions, they've all revealed that multiple luxury labels share suppliers, production lines, and even workers. The phrase hand-assembled in Switzerland has lost its power. Consumers now know that much of what they're paying for is branding and storytelling, not actual craftsmanship. And when the same hands are building both a $15,000 timepiece and a $200 knockoff, the illusion of exclusivity disappears instantly. This shift is already shaking up how people buy, sell, and collect watches. What used to be seen as heirlooms are now being treated like tech gadgets valued until the next expose. We are witnessing a seismic shift in how people view luxury. Collectors are offloading their pieces while values still hold. Resellers are watching their profits shrink, and traditional brands are scrambling to rewrite their narratives. Some companies are delaying launches. Others are cutting back on marketing. Most are staying quiet, hoping this storm will pass. But silence isn't a strategy. It's surrender. The brands that survive this moment won't be the ones with the best slogans, they'll be the ones that embrace transparency. Invest in real quality and stop pretending that mass production is a dirty secret. If you own a Rolex today, it still means something, but for how much longer? Because once the truth breaks through the surface, the prestige doesn't just fade, it vanishes.